Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and thank you for being here. Today we want to face the problem of violence against women from a different point of view, not only legal or legislative. We all know that violence against women, and especially domestic violence, is a real social and public health emergency. The World Health Organization, in a systematic review of 141 studies, found that 35% of women worldwide have experienced physical or sexual violence at some point of their lives. In Europe and Italy, we have many laws that protect women and provide for several penalties against those who commit violence. In recent months, feminicide has also been introduced in Italy as an autonomous crime, different from murder and punished more severely. The laws provide the possibility of free legal protection. There are centers where women can be hosted, even with their children, free of charge, or in a secret domicile, with active help in social integration and job search. All these possibilities are well known to women, yet statistics say that women who ask for help of the police or anti-violence centers are few, and those who agree to sign an official complaint against their partner are among the 10%. So two questions arise. First, why don't women admit violence and don't turn to specialized centers? And second, even if they admit violence and turn to specialized centers and move away from their partner, why they don't want to sign the complaint? It is clear that laws are no longer sufficient. But the problem can be psychological. So we have today with us Daniela Canepa.
Hi.
Dr. Daniela Canepa is a clinical psychologist in Milano, Italy. Good morning, Daniela. Thank you for being here with us today. First question, why do women struggle to admit the violence, and what mechanism trigger in their mind?
Good morning, and thank you for inviting me to talk about this topic that is really important if we think that preventing violence means protecting women's health and breaking a cycle that often affects also children. So, the first question is, why do women remain in the relationship with the abuser? The answer is not simple. Gender-based violence is a complex phenomenon shaped by psychological, social, cultural, and economic factors. Among the main factors are, first of all, conflicting feelings toward the partner. Violent relationships are often marked by emotional ambivalence, with love and hostility coexisting in both partners. So, from a psychological point of view, we can say that many victims return to their partner because they still need to feel loved and emotionally connected. The second factor is the presence of positive moments. After episodes of violence, there may be periods of apparent calm, the so-called honeymoon phase, in which the partner appears remorseful and affectionate. Psychologically, these moments act as positive reinforcement, fostering the hope that this time he will really change. The third factor are dysfunctional coping strategies. To deal with the situation, some women adopt coping mechanisms that unconsciously maintain the abusive relationship. Another factor is social isolation. The abuser may impose strict rules, demanding that the woman gradually distance herself from friends and family. Isolation increases the risk of mental health problems and reduces the likelihood that the person will seek help. Then we can have denial and minimization of the violence. The abuser justifies his behavior or blames the partner. From a psychological perspective, the victim may try to make sense of the situation by blaming herself, which leads to feelings of guilt and shame. In this condition, finding the courage to report abuse becomes even more difficult. Psychologist Leonard Walker, in her book The Battered Woman Syndrome, identified two central psychosocial components that prevent women from leaving abusive partners. The first one is the cycle of violence, and the second one is the learned helplessness. The cycle of violence is a cyclical process consisting of three phases. We have the tension building phase. The partner is critical, controlling, and easily angered. The woman tries to avoid arguments, blames herself for supposed mistake, and tries to please him to stop and not burst. The second phase is the acute battering phase. This is the moment when the actual violence occurs. The explosion often seems unpredictable. The abuser frequently blames the partner. "You tried me, do it," increasing her sense of guilty, anxiety, and isolation. Finally, there is the reconciliation phase. After the violent episode, the partner may appear remorseful and loving, promise change, and make romantic gestures. The second psychosocial component described by Walker is called learned helplessness. It happens when, after repeated trauma, a person stops trying to escape. In domestic violence, a woman may believe that living is useless or even dangerous. For all these reasons, preventing domestic violence is not only about responding to individual cases. It is about addressing the root causes, promoting equality, and ensuring that no woman feels alone or without alternatives.
And thank you, Daniela. And so we understood that a psychologist is very important to remove a barrier, the invisible barrier that there is, that a woman has to face. But what in concrete can a psychologist do?
So, as psychologists, we have a fundamental responsibility in both the prevention and treatment of domestic violence. First, we can promote early detection. Many women do not openly disclose abuse, but they may present symptoms such as anxiety, depression, or psychosomatic complaints. Creating a safe, welcoming, and non-judgmental space is essential to help the victim feel believed, understood, and validated in her experience. Second, it is crucial to avoid any form of victim blaming. It is equally important to work on female identity, sense of self, and self-efficacy, starting from the therapeutic relationship itself. Through a strong and validating therapeutic alliance, we can help women rebuild self-confidence, recognize the violence they have experienced, and gradually regain their autonomy and decision-making capacity. Often we do not realize the physical effort necessary to escape such a situation.
Oh, thank you. And so we come to the second question. Once women had admit the violence, had gone to the police, and often they don't want to sign the report. And which is the reason? Can there be psychological reason in this too?
Sure. The different motivations are always complex and personal, but some of factors we mentioned earlier may also influence the decision not to report the abuse. For example, a woman may still have conflicting feelings toward her partner and continue to feel affection for him. Shame and guilt, which are very common among victims of violence, can also play a significant role. Other factors include fear of the consequences, such as the breakdown of family or friendship, job loss, or legal problems. Another one is like fear of social judgment may also prevent someone from reporting the abuse. Victims are often afraid of not being believed or of being judged. Sometimes society even shifts the blame onto the victim. Today, with the constant use of social media, this risk is even higher. Finally, an important aspect to consider is secondary victimization. This refers to the additional suffering a victim may experience due to a lack of support, sensitivity, or proper attention from those who are supposed to help. It can make the victim feel even more vulnerable, powerless, or guilty. And it is very dangerous because sometimes persons who want to help can cause this secondary victimization not consciously. Let's think, for example, of choices of newspaper headlines. The media, social networks are powerful tools, and even when they want to be used in favor of the victims, if this does not happen correctly, they can create further damage. Actually, each person faces a personal process in deciding whether or not to report abuse, and the well-being and safety of the victim must be the main and absolute priority. Always remembering that silence, whatever its motivation, certainly does not indicate a lack of courage or strength on the part of the victims. Thank you.
So, thank you, Daniela, for your interesting report, and thank you again, thank you to you all. And so, as lawyers, we understood that laws and legislation is not enough to prevent violence against women. Thank you for your attention.